listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Good morning, this is the Frank Skinner Show. I'm Emily Dean. I'm standing in for Frank this morning. He's still on his holidays. It's all gone a bit lottery winner. He's spending. You know, I think it's since he got that Doctor Who part and he thinks it's like getting a part in a movie. It's not really like that. They get equity minimum. They do it for the love of it, these people. This morning I'm joined by the ever-lovely Cockerel.
Morning.
And, oh, I like that. It's quite like you were on Good Morning Britain.
Morning.
Morning there, Susanna.
Morning.
And Steve Hall in the house.
Good morning, Emily. Good morning, Alan.
Morning.
Oh, it's very formal this morning on Absolute Radio. We should say...
I've overheard very little cricket commentary, but I think we've tiptoed into that.
To extend the formality, you can text us this morning on 81215, or you can follow the show on Twitter. How do they do that, Cockerel? Twitter, avoiding Cockerel.
Is it at Frank on the Radio?
Very good. I should say, the Cockerel doesn't have a Twitter account, does he, Steve? But he is what we call a lurker in the business.
I do read it sometimes, you know, I have a look at what the conversation is about. Zeitgeist, yeah.
Didn't someone launch a fake account for you once?
I did have an impostor, but...
I'm so jealous you had a fake account.
I had an impostor, in fact. It was Steve Hall in the house that alerted me to it by saying... didn't you send me a text or an email saying, I'm pretty sure you've got a Twitter imposter because you've tweeted and put lol at the end?
Yeah, that was...
And given that I know you and that you would not do that.
And given that, much like David Cameron, you think it means lots of love.
That's exactly it, yeah. And then they put a sort of vaguely misogynist joke, which isn't me either.
Well, that's not you at all.
Good few.
If you went on
Did it say there are 4 ugly girls in a bar? And I didn't know which one to choose. I'm sorry, I apologise profusely.
Yeah. Your first tweet would have to be something like, I have officially lost all my dignity.
No, that's my first tweet. Can we just talk briefly about the Cockerel?
Hello, nice to see you again.
I know this format is radio, so this isn't particularly useful, but I should explain to the readers this morning, the Cockerel is sporting something of a shiner. It's a shiner in the sort of Beano, Dennis the Menace style
very
type
old
of shiner.
Black eye. You got rid of that Twitter imposter the only way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's like a 70s makeup artist.
You see the other guy, yeah.
Could you care to explique?
Yes. You know, a few weeks ago when we did that story about Ben Fogle being someone snatching his bag and him saying "enjoy the black eye." It just reminded me how much I enjoy black eyes. So I've permanently had one since, but you just haven't seen me that much.
It's taken that long getting the tattoo done.
Yeah, exactly.
What'll go on, may I ask?
Oh, come on, you know.
Were you doing a little karate?
I'm a little bashful about the martial arts, and yes,
it is a Beano's type of thing. You're the bashful street kid.
I was doing my martial arts class the other day, and I got a little bump from a man's knee near my eye. And,
I beg your pardon.
It's gone a bit black, but it really doesn't hurt. I'm not saying that to be macho because, you know, I'm agonised every day when I step on Lego, but it genuinely doesn't. It's fine. But it's good fun.
It makes you already look quite hard.
I do
and
not.
It makes you look
that
harder.
Is not true.
No, let's be reasonable. Cockerel's never going to look hard.
Good.
But I would say you're at least 17% more hot.
Thank you.
As a result.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've already had a text in. Emily,
yeah, I know that. Do you know why? Because rather worryingly, during that track, the producer went, "Have we had a text in?" Like Neville Chamberlain with, I hold in my hand this piece of paper.
We've had a text on 8 to 12:15 from Ian Angel, who said, "Hi, Emily. With his black eye from martial arts, does Alan look like Kung Fu Panda?"
Yes, he does. And do you know what? That's working for me.
Yeah. Kung Fu Panda.
It's a very visual medium, isn't it, radio? It really is.
Alan's a little embarrassed about his shiner readers.
I'm sure we can credit... People know what a black eye looks like. They can make the leap.
It's interesting, though, because it doesn't hurt at all. Like, I kept forgetting yesterday and just walking up to people and asking for things, you know, like coffee and you know, their wallet, that sort of stuff, you know.
It's the perfect chance to play pranks on people. If you went up and went, "Have you seen a woman crying in a wedding dress?"
But you know what? Because you've got a very approachable, lovely little face.
Not normally. I mean, that's wrong on so many levels.
I wouldn't look at you. I wouldn't think you were the Gripper Stepson of the incident. So I wouldn't think there'd been a nasty scrap.
There was no incident. It's a shared. Let's
I think we all know there was an incident, but let's leave it. Do you know what I'd like to talk about? oh, I've just realised we can get coffees, can't we? Because Big Daddy's not here. So it means I can spend. I might even get 3 gold coins. But talking of Big Daddy, I saw Frank this week. He may not be on the show, but I still got my Frank fix, which is very exciting because I went round to his house. Lovely house. He's done well for himself. It was Buzz's birthday. Have you not?
No, I've never seen it.
How embarrassing. Have you seen it?
I've not seen
Has
it.
anyone in the studio seen it other than me?
No.
This is the worst thing ever. But I'm secretly quite pleased.
Yeah, you're special.
Anyway, Frank's Kathy, she texted me and she said, do you want to go round you can either go round for a children's party on the Saturday or a lunch with 5 adults on the Monday.
So you went Monday.
Obviously.
Good.
I like a children party.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends are children.
Yeah.
None of my best friends are children. And in fact, Buzz is rather special. I mean, he's very charming and just an exceptional human being. But I don't like all children. And when people, as they say, oh, kids are coming, well, which kids? It could be Junior Richard Hammond. I need to know these things. So I opted for adults. Now, it turned out, because it was his birthday, I bought him a great present. I bought him a sweatshirt which had a depiction of the moon landings.
Cool.
Nice.
I also bought him a copy of Pirate Pete's Potty Adventure.
Excellent.
Which I heartily recommend.
It was also available as an adult movie, I believe.
Do you like? I said heartily recommend, bit piratey. And I got him this because it's for toilet training, and it's a very good book. Are you familiar with it, Cockerel?
No.
With your
Pirate Pete's Potty Adventures.
Yeah, it's a leading light in the world of toilet training
See,
for
potty
youngsters.
is being used as a pun there, isn't it? Potty is both a potty and his adventures are somewhat silly and daft.
I didn't know that.
Silly potty.
Yeah.
Well, it's a complex but brilliant work. And what happens?
It's because it's quite a dangerous gift because it might imply to Frank and Kathy, you savages don't know what you're doing, so it needs someone civilised to show him the ropes.
To be fair, I did sing "You Don't Know What You're Doing" whilst I handed it over, which I think went down rather well. But it has this. I'm hoping it'll play. But this is the sound effect. So when the child uses the potty, you press this in the book.
Excellent.
Wow.
Now, I have a new gentleman caller in my life, and I decided to use this on him every time he went to the toilet. And it went down rather well, I have to say.
Hey.
But what's strange about Pirate Pete's Potty Adventure is that there are parents in the Potty Adventure. There's Daddy Potty, and he reacts every time Pirate Pete uses the potty, and there's Mummy Potty. I think they're from different classes, these people, and they haven't thought about the audio. Listen to this. Here's the dad.
Hooray!
What do we think about that?
Sounds fairly half-hearted as well.
Oh, him again.
Hooray!
He sounds a bit northern, a bit like...
Yeah.
There's a world weariness to it.
Yeah, it's like, well done.
He's a bit
You've
equity
done a thing
minimum.
every toddler should be able to do.
He's a bit equity minimum. Now, this is the mother. Now, I think he's punching, class-wise, that father, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, I felt that was a little snapshot into my life. But
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking this morning on Absolute Radio about potty training.
we've just had a text, don't forget Princess Polly's Potty Adventures. Is
Yes!
that what you were talking about?
That's what my niece Bertie has, and it has led Bertie to, every time I myself use the latrines, she comes in, opens the door and applauds me.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice to have a review. I'll take them in any situation.
My daughter is currently... on the closing stages of being potty trained, I would say.
Okay.
At least I hope. I certainly hope, because, it's not an overnight success.
No.
And she stomps off the potty with no elegance
I had
whatsoever.
incidents age 7.
It's really... It's really funny, that thing, the concept of ladylike kind of... movement is just not in her head yet, so she sort of jumps off the potty and pulls her knickers up, and it looks like a drag artist or something. It's really like a rugby player whose shorts have fallen down in a scrum or something.
Like Chris Rock finishing a gig. I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It really is.
She goes straight into a waiting limo.
I'm not going to lie, and this is probably going to blow the switchboard up with people worried. We haven't gone with any clever book form. We give her 2 chocolate buttons if she does a poo in the potty. naughty.
Oh my God!
And we make a really big fuss, and if she doesn't, we just, we try not to shout.
I love that. That's like sort of
Last
Dickensian
weekend.
approach to child rearing. It's like, put a wee dram of whiskey in their bottle.
Totally. And I have to say, last weekend I did...
Can I just say Absolute Radio does not suggest that. Absolute Radio also doesn't advocate giving children chocolate buttons
No.
pre-toilet training.
We went to a comedy festival that I did last weekend in Stratford-upon-Avon. Stratford-upon-Avon, and as a lifelong...
Oh, I'd always go on. Is it upon or
It's,
on? Text us on 81215 this morning.
Is it SOA or SUA? That's today's texting. I'd never been there. Lifelong Shakespeare fan, and I've trod the boards a little.
Is that right? I was
that.
taken there at a very young age to Shakespeare's grave, and my father cried.
Well,
Doesn't that happen to everyone?
Two things.
Alan played King Lear the asthmatic.
Two things about Stratford-upon-Avon. Do you remember Frank spotted a statue and said that it had a lovely bottom? There was a period where he was obsessed with bottoms.
I know exactly what the statue was.
Well...
What, in Stratford-upon-Avon?
No, he was
a
talking
fan
about
of
one in London, in that there London.
Well, he's also a huge fan of Donatello's David in Florence.
Well, the bottom on Prince Hal in Stratford-upon-Avon is unsurpassable. I mean, it's really great. It's wonderful. It's a thing of beauty. I gaped at it for ages.
Really?
This could become a very niche walking tour.
However, very good. However, we arrive in this great historical place, and within about an hour, I was putting some soiled child knickers into a public bin. I'm not lying.
Oh.
The potty training hadn't gone ideally at that point. Suffice to say, there were no chocolate buttons being handed out then.
Also, that's a sacred area as well.
Do you know what else has been happening?
If you're going to lose it elsewhere, surely.
Sometimes she uses the potty without telling us, just for a little piddle, and then the first thing we know about
How
it
do we
is
feel about this language?
Her demanding 2 chocolate buttons.
pee-pee. No, she only really asks for those when
That's the only way she knows how to ask.
She only really asks for those when she passes solids now. I'm sorry to be so graphic.
Oh,
but,
God. Frank, can I apologise? I mean, this started off as an innocent discussion about Pirate Pete's potty adventure.
It's only going to get worse.
And it's descended into some terrible,
Sometimes
grimy anecdote.
When we haven't noticed that she's been for a piddle, the first we know about it is when we're all sat watching telly and the dog's slurping away in the bowl.
I'm going to play some music. Are we all fair yet?
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
Guess what else about Frank? Well, it could be all manner of things, couldn't it?
Keep it broadcastable.
Yes, I will. I won't talk about the 90s. So when I went round there, Frank had done something which he often does, he and Kathy often do, which is they'll ask you round and he'll say, I'll tell you what we've done. We've invited someone round who can cook. What do you mean? He goes, no, it's really good arrangement. It's a really good arrangement. He said, because it works for everyone. I said, well, how does that work out? He says, well, what we say, it's a great deal. We buy the food and they cook it. How are they benefiting from that arrangement? Of course you buy the food. It's your house. You've invited them round.
Yeah.
Inspired by Ready, Steady, Cook.
It is somewhat. Although it was lovely.
Was it?
Poached salmon.
Ainsley Harriott made it all.
Well, that lovely friend, Fee, and she came round, and she's an incredible cook, I have to say. But she came round, did the cooking, and then she had to go.
Oh.
I don't know if we should have paid her. Lovely poached salmon, potatoes, and then he brought out the dime bars.
Nice.
Dame, I should say.
For pudding.
Yeah, that was our pudding. Yeah, because she went. Well, he was a bit stumped for pudding, so he had to bring out the dame bars. But then I did something I always do, which is I always do this at Frank's house. I don't know why I do this. I said, does anyone want a cup of tea? Because I think I'll do my bit, because Frank likes you to do your bit. Clearly, you have to sing for your supper in some respect.
She made tea.
Well, no. What I do is I say, does anyone want tea? And then I just move over to the kitchen and stand there talking for a bit. And then I go back down and sit on my chair and then talk to Frank about Bullseye or something. And then, meanwhile, Sandy Mason, mother-in-law, has made the tea.
Nice.
But I get the glory because I was the asker.
You
Do
were
you
the
see?
tea instigator.
I was,
Right.
exactly. I was the tea inciter.
That's good, yeah. Nice.
Thank you, I'm
Have
glad.
you now blown your gaff? You've revealed your trick on air, so
No, I don't see Dean Gaffney anymore. But I hoped, I did hope that Frank would give me some inside info on Doctor Who.
The Doctor.
He wouldn't.
No.
I thought he'd sing like a canary.
No.
He's so selfish. He wouldn't say a word to me.
In many ways.
No, he's fabulously discreet. I can tell he's very excited about it. Well, who isn't excited about Frank being in Doctor Who? Steve,
it's really exciting. Technically, it's not a lost or missing episode, so I can't get as excited about it as I normally do.
Yet.
yeah.
That's
I've got to see the BBC's archiving policies over the next
40 years'
50
time,
years.
you're not again this excited.
He looked the same. He didn't look any different. Although, other than the fact they've made him shave his head and put collagen in his lips, he looks exactly the same. He looks the same.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
You can text us on 81215 this morning, or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Frank's not here. We miss him madly, but I have two rather hot, lovely boys here in his place. Why did
Thanks
it all
very
go
much.
really silent?
Thank you.
I think genuinely shocked.
I was trying to make it a bit sexy.
I was wondering if we were perspiring.
Just trying to make it a bit sexy on Absolute Radio this morning. Oh, I tell you what we've got to talk about, boys. What about Kimchi?
Yeah,
Yes.
Kimchi. Can I just
I
say
love that Aboriginal song.
This nickname that they've got of Kanye and
Yeah, this is Kim Kardashian and Kanye West.
Does this mean that if she'd married Cheech from Cheech and Chong, they'd be called Kimchi, like the Japanese pickle? Have you had kimchi? It's lovely. I mean, I would recommend everyone try some kimchi.
I love some Japanese pickle material.
Yeah.
Some of your finest material.
And you know when Brad
Tried
Pitt
that in
was,
Hull.
You know when Brad Pitt was with Jennifer Aniston, were they called Braniston?
That's even better work. You pick
I think
your
that's actually a
your
joke I
Ranston
did
work.
on 8 out of 10 Cats about 7 years ago. Like.
I wouldn't worry. Lots of
it
other
out.
people on that show recycle material, but that's a whole other story.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Anyway, Kanye, you should be honoured by my lateness. That's what he says. But with this wedding, I mean, I don't know where to begin. I could spend the entire show talking about this wedding. I'm
Well,
so
let's see if
obsessed
we
by
can.
it.
I would like
Okay. Okay, I don't know what our readers would think. So, let's start with, it was in Florence. It
Begin at
was,
the beginning.
for
Florence.
our American listeners, that's in Italy. It was on a grassy knoll.
Was
Lovely.
it?
Yes, it was at the top of a, I don't know, some sort of mound at the top of a, what was it, Daisy, a mountain? Oh, she doesn't know. Someone fire her.
It was on I didn't know it was
Chris
on a grassy... Did they have a member of the Kennedys driving past nearby?
No, but the best thing of all was the giant toilet box. I know we've had a lot of toilet
some
talk this
toilet
morning
humour.
on Absolute Radio, but it was a golden box, 50 feet tall,
Yeah.
apparently.
I've seen it described as a golden toilet tower, which
Yeah.
sounds more like the name of the book that you bought Buzz than it does anything
You know what was the expensive
Do you think-
bit was they had to pay extra to get a little sensor in so that when somebody had finished it went, yay!
Do you think every time Kanye went into the loo it went, oh, no, it's not working. Oh, it's terrible. Can you do it,
Oh,
please?
that's a shame, and
Better late than never. That's what they said to Kanye.
Now, we have had some toilet humour today, but
Have we?
if
Oh,
I can
yeah.
just briefly say, do you think that when they went to all the trouble of having a golden toilet tower, they also had a golden toilet brush? Because I sometimes stay in posh rooms in hotels, and when I see evidence of myself, I get upset by it. And
This is
and
absolutely
some-
disgusting, and I want you to change the subject immediately,
Some posh
Steve.
hotels do not provide a toilet brush, and if they're going to have a golden, I just think there should be a way of...
You worried? He's had a golden toilet. He could have a golden bath. I don't know what they do with the shower.
Oh,
I
this is
had to
getting
think
awful.
very carefully about how I was going to word that.
Do you know
Then
what I think? Even if you put a gold box over it, it's still a chemical toilet. It's still going to have that noxious blue fluid in it,
Well, that's
isn't
the other
it?
song, isn't it? I don't like it, so I'm going to put a golden box over it. That's a well-known song, isn't it?
What about, instead of, you know, at weddings you have what I believe is called plasmon. Are you familiar with this
Yes.
concept? So the plasmon are the little place cards that go around. They engraved people's names onto the marble tabletop
Yeah.
instead of putting plasmon out.
Yeah.
Now, and apparently, because I think that's quite optimistic in Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah.
People change partners. 1 minute they're going out with Charlize Theron, next week it could be Rusty Lee. How do you know who people
Yeah.
are dating?
Yeah, they went through about 5 tables in the final week, I think. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Get them redone.
yeah, it's quite tricky when you go. The guest list is literally set in stone.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Oh, I've had a text from Mike. Well, not a text, a tweet. Well, I'm making it out like he's a friend of mine. He says, Dame bars are still pronounced dime, FYI.
As another FYI, we've also had a text from Simon who puts brackets art dealer, which is a nice way of describing yourselves. And he just says upon. I don't know if you remember that we asked for a pon.
He's gone a bit existential this morning on his art dealer.
No, he hasn't. He's directly answering the question Stratford-on-Avon or Stratford-upon-Avon. Yeah. He's going for upon.
Are we the only commercial radio breakfast show this morning saying, is it Stratford-upon or Stratford-on-Avon?
But that's why, like him referring to himself as an art dealer is as if to underline his credentials for knowing.
I know about such things.
Yeah. I love how middle class we've made it here.
Yeah.
We've put bookshelves on that. We've replaced all those gold discs with books.
Good for me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why is
Look
that?
how far I've come. I started in a council estate. Although we had art. Anyway.
Extraordinary revelation. What about Kimchi? So...
Kimchi.
Well, we've already talked about the marble tabletops, but what about when Kanye, you should be honoured by my lateness, when
Is that what he says? Is that a song of his?
Yeah.
See, I don't like that. I like to be 15 minutes early.
It's not very sexy in a rap song.
No.
I like to be 15 minutes early
just less stressful.
Just to cover all eventualities. That's not going to fly, guy.
Might be into
That could be a
Lombardi
fantastic
time.
album. The songs of Kanye West performed by Alan Cochrane.
Can we write that down somewhere? I could do with padding out my Edinburgh show.
I prefer to leave my lights on a timing switch. It saves on bills.
Totally. If you think your bills are too high, get an owl. It reads how much electricity you're using.
Oh dear.
Not got an owl? All right.
No.
Tough crowd.
It would be not hollow. We want prenup. It'd be like, we just need to think about the next step we're taking. We've got a lot of responsibilities.
Oh, I can't wait to. I love his song Tax Return. It gets me all hot under the collar. I'd like to do it 3 months early. Anyway, Kanye went absolutely mental. He went Groomzilla.
No.
And I love him so much more as a result of this. He decided 2 hours before the wedding, we should say this is all hearsay, so we don't 100%
Hearsay
know.
were on at the wedding. Wow, they really threw money at the problem, didn't they?
Yeah. Kanye did a performance of Pure and Simple. He said he didn't want any of the 80 lights on the dance floor that they'd taken 4 days to install. Apparently he said, I'm in the centre of this party and I'm the only one people need to see.
Boom.
I said that this morning, to be fair.
Yeah.
Before I took to the decks.
When he said that, was his wife to be in earshot at all? Because that wouldn't... We need to be the only people see is what it should be from now on.
Do you reckon Godzilla gets annoyed that people call them Bridezillas or Groomzillas? 'Cause Godzilla is way less temperamental than Kanye. So if Godzilla was getting married and his wife was getting a bit psycho, he'd have to go, she's gone all right, Kanye-zilla.
Would you like it if Godzilla sued for defamation?
Because Godzilla lays waste to cities without really caring, whereas Bridezillas and Groomzillas, they like everything just so. And that is something that cannot be said for Godzilla.
And also, everyone talks about Godzilla. What about the slightly more rational and reasonable Godzuki? Who I seem to remember is accompanied by slightly harmonious
that'd be
music.
fantastic. She's turned into a right Bridezuki.
Yes, it seems nice.
No, but this is what Kanye did. So Kanye went so mental, he didn't like the look of the bar, so he grabbed a saw and started sawing it in half just before the wedding.
I thought this was some stunt that he had decided that he was going to show people that he could saw it in half. I like the idea of him doing that. But what I didn't like was that they kept saying that it was in half, as if they'd checked that it was exactly half. And I think maybe that's why it took 45 minutes, because Kanye was there with one of those belts with leather bits and a tape measure going, hang on, I want to get this exactly half. Measure twice, cut once. You all know the rules.
Where's that spirit level gone?
Oh, that's Alan Cochrane's next rap song. Can't wait to hear it.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
This is Emily Dean. I'm standing in for Frank Skinner this morning. He's not with us. We miss him and we love him, but he's having a nice time, so, you know. You can text us on 81215. You can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. I'm joined by Alan Cochrane. I'm joined by Steve Hall. There is very little else to say other than the fact that where's that coffee? She's been gone a good 10 minutes now.
We've got a text in running. It's pretty typical commercial radio.
What is it?
Is Stratford-on-Avon called Stratford-on-Avon or Stratford-upon-Avon? And Mark has texted, I've lived in Stratford all my life and I still can't be sure. Road signs say welcome to Stratford-upon-Avon, but the local council is Stratford-on-Avon District Council. ... Confused. I like confused with an exclamation mark. I think you heard that in my reading of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I'm intrigued that there are any other
experienced
towns that have similar quandaries.
Yeah.
I know Boreham Wood, it's sometimes presented as Boreham and then Wood as a separate word. Mm-hmm. But
I'm loving your contribution this morning on Absolute Radio, Steve.
If you live in Burton-upon-Trent, let us know.
Ashby de la Zouch, represent.
Oh, I hate Ashby de la Zouch. Why do they call it that? Try and sound all glamorous. You're not in France or Munich. Just accept where you are. You're in England.
True that.
We were talking about the Kimchi wedding.
Yes.
I just got up to the part where Kanye West was sawing a bar in half. Mm-hmm. A drinking bar, I should say. I can imagine sweat pouring off him, the cummerbunds come a bit awry.
Oh, yeah.
I call it a bit Amityville when men get like that. You know, when they get very embroiled in a physical task and there's sweat dripping down them, chopping firewood out with an axe in the garden. I think he went a bit like that. But he also apparently got angry. He wasn't happy with the music system. He said it cost $100,000 to install, and he said, you Italians don't understand my minimalist style.
Whoa.
I like to think he's very well known for his minimalist style.
And Italians aren't.
With his 50-foot gold toilets. He's practically Le Corbusier, isn't he? But what I like, so apparently he had to resort to plugging his iPod in.
No.
Imagine someone had put Bucks Fizz making your mind up on that. Oh, I would have loved that.
Oh, he put his own iPod in. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You can't. I like the more I read about this, the more I like the bits where it appears like a normal wedding. Something's gone on. Oh, just get the groom's iPod. Come on. And the fact that is it Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, was running around in a costume and being annoying. Like, I like the fact that there's no amount of money that you can spend and there's still not an annoying kid at a wedding.
And that's great. He was being what a teenage boy should be.
Go wearing a white Batman suit. That's Frank's dream. He had a cloak on.
He was chucking his cape into people's faces. You kind of go, this wedding cost £12 million or something.
And throwing glasses on the ground with his cape.
It's brilliant. It must have been quite difficult to tell him off, though, because, like, Kanye and what's her name, Kim Kardashian, took him to one side and went, you're a spoilt, attention-seeking brat. And at that point, the greenhouse just smashed into smithereens.
What about when the spotlight went on Kim's sort of down under regions?
Pardon?
She was walking in and the spotlight shone, unfortunately, on the lower half of her dress in an area she didn't feel comfortable with.
Wow.
So she ran over and pulled the plug on all the lights.
They seem to have had a thing about the lights, yes, don't they? Like,
well, I think, to be fair, though, I think that Kardashian mother should have been very happy with the lighting concept if they're all turned down to zero. She seems such a nice woman, that mother. I'd love to become friends with her. Yeah.
There's so much about the wedding I love. Have you seen the just married photo?
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
with the leather jackets.
With the leather jackets and the weird design. So I think it's meant to look cool and sexy, but they look like a far-right biker gang from a bad episode of Happy Days.
Who'd come along and teach us a lesson. We'd learn from them, be the moral lesson. It was one of the most vulgar, soulless displays of empty celebrity in the history of humanity, and I just want to know, why wasn't I invited?
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Do you know what I think it's time for, boys? I've had enough of this Kimchi nonsense. We need some good, old-fashioned, down-to-earth...
Email corner.
Morning. We've had an email. Morning, team.
What's this? Morning.
We've had an email from Claire Winch saying... Hello, team. Things have got even better for Frank and his race walking.
Oh, yes.
A 10-year-old girl wrote to her local shopping centre Oh yeah, Frank has a thing where he
Yeah.
races other pedestrians.
Pedestrian racing.
Yeah. A 10-year-old girl wrote to her local shopping centre about the slow walkers when shopping, so they've now installed a fast lane to help with the flow.
That's amazing.
I should explain the story. She lived reasonably close to the Meadowhall shopping centre in Sheffield.
Lovely local knowledge there.
Bit of local. And the dude in charge of the whole shop said, yeah, you're right. I think it was part of her school project to try and write to somebody in authority and change something. And the guy went, yeah, okay, you're right. Some slow walkers and you're trying to bomb on. And so they've installed a fast walking. Oh, no,
I like the sound of this child. Is she going to grow up to do a job where we're going to say, well, at least she was very efficient and transformed the roads, though?
Yeah.
Something like
That's
that.
what worries me slightly about
It's
her.
tricky if you have a fast lane, though, and that you've got someone who isn't quite going fast enough in the fast lane.
Yeah.
The other shoppers now have to flash them.
Exactly.
I like her mother said, I like the sound of this child. I think she's called Chloe. And her mother said, Chloe's always giving me feedback when she goes to places.
Yeah.
Feedback's worrying. Feedback is what I used to give ex-boyfriends when they stayed out all night. That's feedback, isn't it?
I just worry for the actual adult, professional town planners and shop planners whose work has been improved by a 10-year-old girl. They're at home going, oh wow, she wrote a letter and fixed my work.
Well, it does seem to be the way to get things changed, because there was that kid who got them to change tiger bread to giraffe bread. So the way they wrote and said, she said that your bread it shouldn't be called tiger bread, it looks more like a giraffe, and they wrote back and said, you're absolutely right. So they renamed it giraffe bread.
Really?
I wish I could get those sort of results. I could get Stratford-upon-Avon changed to
The way
Stratford-on-Avon.
to affect social change in the 21st century is to get a 10-year-old to write it.
Right. It's letter writing, obviously. Amnesty International are big fans of that.
Yeah, don't use email or anything.
No.
Just go for letters.
Yeah.
Have we got time for another email, Daisy, in this? Oh, Daisy just shook her head. That was awful. I felt a terrible sense of rejection when she did that.
Well, we need to get a 10-year-old to write to her and say, Dear Daisy, can we do another email in this section?
What should we do now?
Well, I could tell you what makes
What about
me
when I
text
said
you.
that once to a guy when I was on a date?
What should we do now?
Honestly, he
that
quoted
sounds
that back
flirty.
at me. You think?
At what point in the date were you at?
Yeah, exactly.
It was about 2 a.m. Let's leave it there.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're in email corner. Actually, a disaster happened during that
You're
track.
going to talk about the disaster.
I need to
Can't
talk about the
believe you're gonna
disaster.
talk about the disaster.
I know I have therapy. I need to overshare.
What if the absolute bosses are listening?
I spilt coffee. I spilt a decaffeinated skinny.
They don't
Was
need
it a
the
latte?
details. They don't need the deets.
No, I need to spill everything. In so many
just
ways. Yeah, it was a decaf skinny latte, a cappuccino. I'm sorry, and I spilt it all over the motherboard.
Oh no.
And as it spilt, I went, Daisy! And I panicked, and I saw all this brown liquid forming around a huge button with the words enable on it. And my therapist told me never to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm panicking. All I can hear in the background whilst this pandemonium is breaking out is Steve Hall going, yeah, so on Doctor Who, episode 7... He was continuing to talk.
Yeah.
That tells me that's what happened to us.
I was trying to remain calm in the face of a crisis.
I'm talking about Doctor Who.
You'd spilled the beans, quite literally, because it was coffee.
Coffee beans, very good. Oh, that's clever, isn't it? I mean, that is
You
clever.
would be good in the bunker.
Quite
because you'd just be talking, you'd just be playing Doctor Who episodes.
A voice
anyway.
of calm, a still voice of calm.
Okay.
We've had a correction. We've had a cultural
Have we
correction.
had a correzione?
Anthony Ward has texted in, has emailed
Wasn't he
in
a
rather
spy
to
or
say,
something?
Say the statue of David is by Michelangelo, not Donatello. You are confusing your mutant ninja turtles.
Oh.
If only I had done a history of art A-level and I could correct you and tell you that there are 2 Davids.
Boom!
Oh, Anthony Ward.
One of the favourite things.
Google it, Ecosia it. There's a Donatello David and a Michelangelo David. But thank you for your interest at this time.
Can I just say one of my
Yeah.
favourite things that happens on this show occasionally is when a corrector becomes corrected.
No, I like you for
almost
joining
pleases
in.
me as much as seeing bullies getting beat up on YouTube.
No,
Nearly that
I
much.
appreciate, and I love that you're correcting me over art history, because you're right, it does matter and these things are important. But unfortunately for you, I'm right in this instance. So,
I'm sorry, Anthony.
Yes,
I
I'm
tried
sorry.
to help.
I love you.
We've also had another sort of correction. It's neither on or upon the Avon, really, is it? It's sort of on both sides, so I'd suggest it renames itself Straddle the Avon.
Oh, what is this? This is the...
Northumberland, Stratford upon Avon.
This could be a new thing. Correcciones,
Correcciones, ole, ole, ole. Can we do a little jingle? No?
Straddle the Avon's good.
We've got to play music. We don't have time for this. That was a bit of a horrible way to come out of it. I do apologise.
Okay.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
Staying in email corner, we've had an email from Evan. Who said this is obviously relating back to previous discussions when I wasn't here, and he says, "Hello, Frank, Emily, and Alan. Your podcast keeps me entertained on the Monday drive to work."
Oh, a bit
She
crazy.
listens every day.
A very
She
solemn,
listens every day, but
very
Monday
solemn,
she really likes.
Excuse me, this is Evan.
Yeah.
Evan, my apologies.
It's a very
Evan.
solemn piece
Why
of
are you
piece
giving
of
him a
praise.
sex
I
change?
obviously wasn't listening.
Your podcast keeps me entertained. Carry on. It said, regarding the origins of Nandos.
Can we just say it is actually called Nando's? For some reason, we call it Nandos on this show because Frank mispronounces it as Nandos,
got
which is
possessive
one of the many
apostrophe.
things I love about him. There are too many to list here. But anyway, as you were.
Regarding the origins of Nandos, the chain was started by the Mozambique diaspora community, which is, I'm genuinely amazed I said that correctly first time.
Well done.
In South Africa, it is regarded as Portuguese-style chicken because Mozambique is a former colony of Portugal, the last imperial power in Africa. It then started up in Perth, Australia, where there is a large South African expat community, and then came to the UK. I actually visited a Nando's in Cape Town recently and found that the Nando's menu in South Africa
This is all
was
nice and
nowhere
light.
near as extensive as the Nando's menu in the UK. So there you go. Keep up the good work, Evan.
Wow, I don't think I'll ever want for more information on Nando's.
That is the most formal piece of information in writing ever associated
In
with a chicken
Mozambique.
restaurant.
But you know what? I
The
really
Mozambique community in South Africa.
Mozambique diaspora community, which I think is a Captain Beefheart album.
I'm sorry for leaving out diaspora. It does happen.
What I really like is that Evan went into the Nando's in Cape Town and compared it to the one in the UK. That is the behaviour of an expat. I don't know if you've ever chatted to expats.
Yes.
They will compare everything to the UK. Hello. Oh, in the UK they say hello.
I love Evan. Well, thank you, Evan, so much for writing
I
in.
wonder if they... Because obviously the prized thing to get in the UK is a Nando's black card.
Yeah,
And
We're not allowed to ask for... We're not allowed
Oh, really?
to...
we don't want one.
It's a tricky thing to... In South Africa, there'd have been times not so long ago that had been a tricky thing to ask for.
Moving swiftly on, we've got a...
We're not allowed to ask for black cards on this show, Frank. We can't beg friend it, can we?
Yeah.
He said no touting for cards.
No beggy. And,
Yeah, no beggy.
And also, I don't want it anyway because I boycott Nando's because I think it's takeaway food at restaurant prices.
Ever since Torres
That's one
went
of his
from
other,
Liverpool to Chelsea, I boycott it just because of the
Yeah.
name association.
Takeaway food at restaurant prices is one of Alan's. That's his next album.
Me and Kanye. We've had a text. Good correction on Renaissance sculpture. Want a job, Emily? That's from Simon the art dealer.
Simon the art dealer. I would actually want a job. I'd see myself as having an assistant role in a Lovejoy setup.
Lovely.
You could be a tinker for the 21st century.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've just had a text in. It's taking quite a tetchy tone.
Go on.
Which I don't like.
Yeah.
662.
I quite like it, but that's the sort of self-harmy side of me.
Is it? I'm not a reader. Please stop calling me a reader. I'm using and then we go to caps lock, radio. Well, if you were a long-term reader, you would know that we call...
It's Frank's little joke.
We call
He
our
does them.
listenership readers because they have an intelligence about them that we feel is more in
Yeah.
keeping
And
with
we
the
include
reading
you in
world
that,
than
and
the
we do
listening.
thank you for joining in.
Yeah,
The
do-
aggression of their tone implies they resent being called a reader in
Don't-
any
Yeah.
aspect of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
guys,
have never
guys.
read a book, and I resent the accusation that I have, sir.
Not even street signs.
Don't turn on our people.
Oh, come.
Okay.
We can't help but turn them on.
That's the most disgusting thing you've ever
I'll
said.
tell you
Are we
something.
having a text in this morning? You can text us on 81215. As always, under my watch, the texting tends to go a little off topic.
Yeah.
We had, is it Stratford upon or Stratford on Avon? We also had are there two Florentine Renaissance sculptures of David? Discuss.
Well, maybe we can kick off another one. I was a reader the other day. I took my little boy, little Lord Fauntleroy, swimming. And,
does he wear breeches? I wore breeches.
Yeah, he swims in the full-length Victorian swimming costume, obviously.
Is he like Jaden at the wedding?
He's got 99 problems, but a britch ain't one.
I was looking on my iPhone, because obviously, like any modern-day parent, you keep one eye on the swimming pool and how it's going, and the other, you
That was a delayed applause for your britches joke.
I
Thank
see
you.
you fiddling with that, and I was thinking, I'm trying to tell my story.
Yeah.
I was looking on my phone, and I looked across, and there was a mum looking on her phone, and I don't consider myself a particularly cliched macho bloke.
I don't.
No, exactly.
I really don't.
Get this for conforming to gender stereotypes.
Except today when you've got a Charles Bronson Brooke Shiner.
I've got a little bit of a
Did you
black
smear
eye.
yourself in Lurpak this week and take on 12 guards? Because that's what it looks like.
Not quite, but no word of a lie, she was looking on her iPhone at beauty treatment websites, and I was on my phone looking at reviews of motorbikes. It couldn't have been more perfect for... Yeah! And I wondered, what is the etiquette on having a sneaky peek at somebody's iPhone? Because I do it fairly frequently.
Do you?
And I have a sneaky peek at other people's behaviour. I was on a train yesterday.
Yeah.
Quite a tough-looking guy got out a little portable DVD player. I thought,
Yeah.
old school.
Yeah.
And he got out Starsky and Hutch on DVD. I hope he's not listening, because he did look tough, but he surprised me by getting an emery board out and filing his nails all the way to Euston.
Who was this man?
Strange. I bet he's not a listener. That's my hope, because he might...
Can I tell you what
I
I saw recently? I looked over a man's iPad recently. That's the story. And, no, he was reading a script, and as soon as I see dialogue, I'm in.
Of course, yeah.
You know.
As a fellow...
Yeah,
thespian.
as an arts and crafts type.
Yeah.
So, all I saw, I'm desperately trying to read it. Didn't have my glasses on. I thought, I can't put my glasses on whilst I'm looking over his shoulder. So I'm squinting a bit. I'm looking a bit Mr. Magoo. And I'm straining. And all I can catch is one of the characters is called Lofty.
Oh.
Now, I don't know about you, but there's only one character called Lofty that I remember.
That's true, yeah.
He was in EastEnders. I looked at him to the side. I thought, oh my God, what if that's Tom Watt and he's reliving all his greatest hits?
Just looking over scripts that he's learnt 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I do that all the time with Day of the Triffids.
Just
but that's
sobbing on the
perfect.
train.
Yeah, I do it all the
Why
time.
doesn't Susan Tully return my calls?
I look over my Day of the Triffids script. I remember the dialogue like it was yesterday. Hey, can't you kiss her indoors? Fabulous.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
We're talking about looking over people's shoulders on Absolute Radio this morning. Well, specifically, Alan, you did this recently, didn't
I
you?
was a peeping Tom at a lady's iPhone. By the way, can I just
I'm glad
say,
you said iPhone.
Why is it Toms that get the bad press for peeping? What's a lady peeper called? There's no, like, peeping Susan. There's no, in fact, Susan's lazy. She's a lazy... I don't even know who Susan is, but she's lazy.
She couldn't be bothered to peep.
Yeah, exactly.
Lady Godiva's going
She hasn't
past.
even got it in her.
Because was it Lady Godiva that Peeping Tom peeped at? Is that?
Oh, is that correct?
Well, maybe.
I think so.
That'd be a good thing to text in as well.
Wikistevia strikes again.
No, but I'd like that. It's another literary thing, and I feel I'm making this show very middle class this morning.
Which the great thing about peeping is that it can be high culture.
So please don't ever start a sentence like that.
The great thing about hiding in a corner watching someone.
The great thing about Peeping, a novel
It can
by
be
Steve Hall.
It can be high culture or low culture.
Yeah.
No, it can't.
So I have, in the last 12 months, I've sat next to the actor Tom Hiddleston in a cafe reading his script
he's
for
nice,
Coriolanus.
Really?
And getting quite excited about that. And in the same week, I was sat behind someone
I'm
on a
not being
bus.
rude, but you could have just got some York notes, or
Yeah,
you could have just bought a copy of it. I mean, it's not like it's going to change just because it's his script.
I sat behind a guy on a bus, and the bloke was just going through Tinder. And he seemed to not care. It was it was really obvious that I was looking, and it was almost there was almost eye contact on a few ones where he was swiping left, and I was going, I'd have said yes to her. But it's the most entertaining. It was the most suspenseful. Where I was like, "Go on, give her a chance. She looks like a nice sort."
Oh,
I didn't. I apologise for the use of the phrase "nice sort."
Yeah, all right, Joe.
Yeah, all right,
Briefly
Joe.
turned into 1971.
no, it briefly turned into question time. Yeah, you see, that's the thing about Tinder. I've heard people going on Tinder when they're not actually looking for love.
What?
You paused too long when you said that. What do you mean? You both said. You know something about this. And apparently Lily Allen said she does it. They just kind of flick through just to look at people. They play the Tinder game.
It's the equivalent, if you can't see it, it's the equivalent of counting sheep. Counting creeps.
I like the sound of that. I won't do it because I'm currently spoken for, but I like the idea of counting filthy creeps. Someone get up Tinder immediately. I want to have a look.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is the Frank Skinner Show, but Frank's not here this morning. You can text us on 81215, or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. I'm Emily Dean, and I'm standing in for Frank, and I'm joined in the barnyard by the cockerel and Steve Hall. He's not really an animal of any sort. What is he? He can just be a slug or something.
Brilliant. The cockerel and the slug.
That's a famous tale.
Oh, I love an Aesop fable. Have we had any texts on 81215? We started a text in, which was, is it Stratford-on-Avon or Stratford-upon-Avon?
Yes.
That's for children at North London schools.
We have had a text. We've had a few texts, but not requested, as it were.
Right.
We didn't start a text in saying you told a story about peeping over someone's shoulder and them reading on their iPad a script including the word lofty.
And the character, was called Lofty. And I thought it might be Tom Watt reliving his greatest hits.
Your exact words are there's only one Lofty, but it turns out, as we used to say at school, bit jarred there. Jarred. Did you ever say a bit jarred? Jarred, as in incorrect.
Oh, no, because no one
Jarred.
ever said that ever other than you.
Okay, well, they did in Mirfield, West Yorkshire. Word up to the WF14s. Lofty is a character in the Book of Mice and Men.
Oh,
Is that-
Steinbeck.
Is that true? Is it?
Well, I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Because I thought you were into the literature thing. I mean, I
okay.
am a bit.
Perhaps that could be another text in on Absolute Radio this morning.
Paul
John
the chauffeur
Steinbeck.
has also texted it could have been Lofty from It Ain't Half Hot, Mum. Bet you'd forgot him.
Oh, yes, I had. Oh, well, that's good to know. I'm quite relieved to know it wasn't Tom Watt. Just taking a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It's like those people that have been in one thing and they get out an old VHS and they make you watch it repeatedly. Oh, that's
I was only
me.
thinking that the other day when I was watching Trying Again on... I haven't watched it.
Yeah. Have you not?
I hear it's really good, but...
I think it's excellent.
It's great.
Yeah.
The Cockerel's starring currently in Trying Again.
The starring's egging it up a bit, innit?
I'd say you're number 3.
Actually, in the script, I was number 5. You know, the actors get given numbers.
Oh, is that right?
Actors get given
What
numbers.
is this, The Prisoner?
Apparently, you get numbers, and some actors have it in their contract that they're single-digit numbers because their ego's so big that they cannot bear to be number 11 in a hierarchy system.
Oh, I'd
And I
go
was
number
5.
7.
I was 5. I'm all right with 5. I'm fine
Well,
with
apparently
it.
your performance is so good they're retiring the number.
Yeah.
I know which shirt I'd want. Okay, so that's text from the outside world. Any news that you'd like to talk about this morning?
Well, we need to talk, to use your parlance, we need to talk about Kate Middleton.
Oh,
Yes.
I prefer to call her Decam now.
Decam.
Yeah, that's the shortened version of Duchess of Cambridge.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
I made me
confusing,
think
though,
of
with S-Cam.
David Cameron, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get over it.
Well, she's had a terrible week, the poor thing.
Oh, yeah, was this a skirt?
It's Mother Nature wreaked
Yes.
a horrific sufferance upon her.
It was the naughty Germans, wasn't it?
It was the horrible Germans.
They're not horrible. They own this radio station. Can I just interject? Das ist verboten, that kind of language.
I've got reasons. Heritage and ancestry related reasons.
Are you Catholic? Are you Jewish? Make a decision.
Depends.
Yeah, pick a team. Pick a team. Depends who's playing, doesn't it?
Well, so let's explain. The wind blew her skirt up when she was wandering around in Australia in the Blue Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Also, they were blue.
and a German newspaper showed a photo of it, unpixelated. They showed her bare backside in full glory, and not one newspaper dared to go with the headline, "The Queen's Peach." which I was very upset about.
Oh, Queen's Peach, very good.
Oh,
Very good.
yes.
He's good, isn't he? He's good. But actually, I
Did
don't
you
think
see
it was. I don't think it was the natural wind that blew the skirt. It was the helicopter.
Oh, I do
It was a
apologise.
helicopter.
She was standing near a heli. It always
that
happens
is
near
one
a
of the
heli.
hazards. If you are a royal family member, you do travel by helicopter a fair bit. And in fact, her husband's a pilot
Yeah.
of them, so it must have come up before. Why doesn't she
Yeah.
just get some trousers? Why can't she wear a trouser suit?
A
They're good.
powerful chopper lifted her skirt. It's a
Exactly,
horrible moment
exactly.
for a
It's-
queen to be.
It's all there.
What about when I was staying in India once, and this really posh man, I knew he was posh because he had red trousers. I mean, it was a very posh resort, and he said, would you like a lift back to Delhi in the morning? I said, do you know that would be lovely? And he said, OK, the heli leaves at 2.
Wow.
Best
He was
offer.
going to Delhi in his heli. This guy.
He had some jelly.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about Kate Middleton and her little upsy
Her
skirt.
unfortunate wardrobe malfunction. I wanted to ask you, Emily, as a doyenne of fashion,
Yes.
have you ever suffered
watch your language.
the ignominy of a wardrobe malfunction?
Well, Steve, this feels like a bit like when you're a chat show and they say, I couldn't possibly sing.
So you've been decorating? And then they do that
No, I
5
don't
minutes
have a
on
series of
decorating.
pre-prepared anecdotes. It's happened to me a few times. I once did an interview about royal wedding fashion, and I was quite pleased with my performance. And then as I took the mic off, I realised my top was on back to front. No, not back to front, inside out. Even worse.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, that is
Yeah.
worse, because back to front you could have tried to style it out and pretend it was one of those tops that was back to front. And
They
then you
thought
get
I was
the-
just really directional. Yeah.
Was the label showing?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh no.
I got soy sauce on my white
Mortificado.
tuxedo when I was talking to Big Fat Gypsy Wedding
You got
cast.
soy sauce on a white tuxedo?
On my white tuxedo. I was talking to Big Fat Gypsy Weddings. I don't know, you can't call them Big Fat Gypsies, it's Big Fat Gypsy Wedding cast I was talking to. And it was a BAFTA nominees drink. And they didn't judge me, to be fair.
Well,
Nor did they invite
right
me
to.
to their homes.
no. Also quite right too.
I think they were on the move at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had no, but the worst was when a dog ripped my skirt off in a
Goodness me.
playground. I was about 12 years old, but it was a wraparound skirt. I was very
yeah.
proud of it. And I was standing there, and the dog just came running past me and grabbed it between its teeth and started pulling. And it was a wraparound skirt, so it just ran off into the woods
That's
with
when
it.
your life becomes a farce. It's like your life briefly becomes Run for Your Wife or something like that.
Yeah, she did grow up in a raccoony farce. That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I did, but I have to say, if I was Kate, I wouldn't be unhappy. I mean, she's, his girlfriend's got it going on. Did
Has
you?
she?
I googled. I typed in Duchess and
Oh, you
bum.
never?
I
Oh, you
did because I
never?
wanted to see it.
And did you see the real derriere? You saw the actual photos of the German.
No, but I saw some extraordinary photos of the British aristocracy.
Well, it's like she was trying to get revenge. It's like Pippa's got all the praise in that area.
Yeah.
So it's almost like she arranged it just so she can go, I think 1-0 to me.
Yeah, exactly. Big Sister's back, innit?
I think it's nice. I mean, it's a polite bottom, is what it is.
Why doesn't she
I'd say
do
mine's
the,
a little more assertive. hers knocks at the door. Mine's a bit more of a battering ram.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We were talking about Kay Middy on Absolute Radio this morning, but we should also say there was some other royal out and aboutness, which was Harry. He was in Suffolk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the royal updates for this week covered. No, I like that royals just appear, don't they? Can you imagine if that was your job? You just had to turn up.
Yeah, isn't that my job?
I mean, that is essentially what we do this morning, in fairness. It's not wildly different.
He doesn't have to read emails out, but I think,
No.
I think he does other stuff.
He doesn't have to play Email Corner.
No.
But he did have to judge. There was a bull, I'm going to say bull competition.
Yeah, he met a bull, didn't he?
He met a bull who was frothing at the mouth.
And he seemed a bit scared of it, which is weird given that he's grown up on farms and he's met
Yeah.
his dad's a farmer and...
It had all froth at its mouth, though. Bulls are worse than horses. I hate them. They're my worst livestock ever. What's your worst livestock?
Text in on 8 12 15.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the big animals. They can be quite scary.
I can understand why bulls... I was playing football for Bournemouth Youth once, and a bull from a nearby field got onto the pitch and started chasing us, and that was...
Can I just say that's my favourite story you've ever told? I love it.
Scored 3, didn't it?
But also... but that's better than runaway dog. We only get runaway dog.
Yeah, people thought it could have been a bull, it could have been Dean Windass. I'm not sure.
Oh. In addition to meeting the bulls... during the Suffolk trip, he also he went in goal.
Yeah.
Or there must have been about 9 or 10, these kids.
Yeah, I think they were little, and the goals would be necessarily small.
The goals were like those Toys R Us sort of goals, weren't they? They were tiny little kiddie goals.
And he did that thing that I also do of being an adult in a children's goal and being impossible to score against, which is... among the biggest ego boosts a human can get, let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you're ever feeling a little low, just go in goals in a kids' football match and not let them score.
I mean, there's not...
My record's about 4 hours, but...
Well, there's not patronising children, and there's using your entire 6-foot frame to block the goal.
Brilliant.
Did you see it? He had his arms outstretched, his feet outstretched.
He was ice hockey goalying a football game.
So you should.
Appalling distribution, I hear.
And I hope someone said, and he stayed beg there. That's what you want to hear.
But I think it's quite a nice thing. I used to work on these kids schemes, working with children with special needs and handicapped children, and I played table tennis with a couple of them for about 3 hours. And I was really trying to beat them, and they were thumping me every time.
Good.
And so afterwards, people would say to me afterwards, "Oh, that was so nice the way you let them win." And I was going to go, "Oh yeah, exactly. I was just being charitable."
Yeah.
I never let children win. Is that wrong?
No.
I mean, I don't care how young they are. I played swing ball against my niece, and she was about 8 at the time. My brother-in-law said, "Why are you giving her really vicious backhands? You're meant to be playing a nice game with her." I just think you have to learn very early that life's hard, and it's every man for himself, and you've got to earn your seat at that board game.
Exactly.
Especially Monopoly as well.
And particularly football. Getting kids used to doing badly in penalty shootouts is an important part of training to be British, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it was certainly an important part of my training to be Scottish. Losing at penalties when I was in goal. Scottish goalkeepers have got a reputation, haven't they? So.
They do that at birthdays, don't they? I think they might have done it at Buzz's birthday, actually. You know, they do the pass the parcel, and then they let them win. It all goes a bit Qatar
Everyone's
World Cup,
win.
doesn't it?
Everyone's got to win.
They just get... I don't agree with that. If anyone plays against me, FYI, I play to win. Bring it, Junior.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
It's the Frank Skinner Show. It's Absolute Radio. I'm Emily Dean. Those are all the details you need for now.
Lofty is apparently the crane in Bob the Builder, also from.
Is that right?
Burkfield, yeah. And
What if that man was playing the crane in Bob the Builder? Does he have dialogue, the crane in Bob the Builder?
A few people saying that there isn't a Lofty in Mice and Men now.
Perhaps there was, but Michael Gove's tried to get rid of it.
That's what people are claiming.
Oh, I love that. Well, I don't know whether this chap on the tube whose shoulder I was looking over, reading his script, so he was either playing a character in a John Steinbeck dramatisation, or he was playing a crane in Bob the Builder.
Or is it Tom Watts weeping for the past?
I know which one I'd prefer. I know which one I'd find the most alluring.
Tom Watt becoming Tom Wen.
Oh.
Tried to make that existential and poignant and failed miserably.
Oh, don't worry. At least you weren't talking about Doctor Who.
Well, I'm going to talk about something even more nerdy than Doctor Who.
Oh, go on.
Because I saw
I
a
love his little
band...
stories.
We'll be the judge of that.
I saw a band last week. And in fact, I saw the same band 3 nights running. And it was an active devotion that my wife insists is...
devotion.
It wasn't them.
Lovely little voice you've got. You've got to do musicals.
I was doing my little voice as well.
You know there's a bit in Frank's book where he talks about the first time in his life he ever heard The Fall.
I'm glad it's that bit in his book and not chapter 9.
And it's the moment where it's never heard anything like it, and it's like the music he's been waiting for.
Yes,
all
I
his
do
life.
Remember that.
There's a particular band I had never heard until a few years ago called Neutral Milk Hotel, and I'd never heard them. And then they
Probably not on the playlist here.
No. Well, they had
Or anywhere, indeed.
They had an album out in 1998, and the first time I heard of it, Pitchfork.com, the music website, listed it as their
you're losing me already.
Their fourth best album of the 90s. And I was thinking, why have I never heard of this record? So I listened to it, and it was one of those moments where everything changes, and it's a proper trembling, heart-beating type moment. And then the first time I'd heard it, it was just as I was filming my first ever TV pilot, and the cameraman happened to be wearing a T-shirt with the album cover on his T-shirt, and I said, I've just heard that record for the first time last week, and he said to me, I envy you being able to hear that for the first time.
Oh, wow.
It's my favourite record. And they haven't done anything
That's
for 15 years.
That's a lovely little bonding moment for you.
It was a really
two.
beautiful moment. So I saw it. I got tickets in different bits of the gig.
For the three separate
nights? For the 3
nights?
nights. One night I was sat down. One night I was near the front. One night I was near the back. Very mild mosh pit in a very pasty, nerdy mosh pit.
You saw them 3 nights.
Why did you do it 3 nights?
Yeah.
Did you want to see it differently?
Yeah. I
just
just wanted to
say-
get it from as many angles as possible.
Angles? What, were you a hitman? It sounds like preparation of a hitman, not a fan.
3 nights in a row. I didn't display that devotion to my wife last week.
I tell you what, there's very little I do 3 nights in a row.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
Have we had any texts in on 8, 12, 15? Quite late in the day to be promoting the text number,
We
you
have
may
had
think.
a text in response to nerdy Steve Hall over there.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, he got so passionate talking about that gig, didn't he?
His little band, yeah.
Oh, he was so happy.
What's
His
the name of that little
face.
band again?
Neutral Milk Hotel.
Neutral Milk.
Oh, they sound
The
lovely.
album is called In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Check it out, readers.
Oh, he ruined it.
545 Ewan from Farnham has texted, I saw Elvis Costello 5 nights in a row at the Albert Hall in 88 and couldn't afford another gig for ages. He was starting to look nervously at me. Saw him last year, he was still amazing. That's nice, isn't it?
Really? Frank would probably have done that.
He was very good.
You're not
Who,
alone.
Elvis Costello?
Yeah.
How many times did you go?
I saw him first time I've ever seen him, actually. Mm-hmm. He brought
From which angle?
from side on.
Which of your sniper gigs was that? He's back here tonight.
Yeah.
Security get
prefer them
concerned.
He sounded like the
Profile.
Lee Harvey Oswald of gig goers.
Well, you make yourself sound like that.
He was a quiet man. We've had an email for you, Al. On the previous show, you were discussing how to cure Cochrane Jr.'s hiccups.
Indeed.
And Caroline has emailed to say the best way to get rid of hiccups is my granny's hiccup medicine, which is a spoon of sugar with vinegar soaked in. Works every time, shocks from the inside.
I love the sound of that, Granny. That message was brought to you by a character in a Dickens novel.
I'd actually have
Spoonful
that.
of sugar
though.
helps
If
the
you had
vinegar
that-
go down.
If you had that on you now, I'd take that. I'd have a go at it. Ironically, little Lord Fauntleroy, Cochrane Jr., has not had hiccups since I talked about it on the show. So I'm
really?
starting to
There you
think
go.
that the cure for hiccups is to discuss it on commercial radio.
Or to drive him through Peckham at 3 in the morning.
Let's step it up. Let's move to the hardcore diseases. Let's talk about Ebola. Let's get that wiped out.
You've still got that. Yeah.
I like us laughing nastily at that. I do apologise for that. I want to ask that Granny something, though, which is the key question that I think is on all of our minds this morning, all of our readers' minds. Is it balsamic vinegar?
Oh, yes.
Well, I only carry
Lovely.
balsamic. I'm sorry.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Thought I'd just finish us up with a little email that begins, "Hiya
Lovely.
all." I'm not sure it's from the USA, but hiya y'all. I like the start.
Do they know that Florence is in Italy? That's a test.
After recently listening to your older podcasts in between Saturdays, a reader mentioned Ecosia, which is a website that
Yes.
we recommended, search engine, in fact. Today in Science, I think this might be from a student, today in Science, Google stopped working, so I went ahead
Maybe it's
and
Professor
hunted
Brian
for
Cox.
Ecosia. I can gladly report that now most of my class are saving the rainforests. I think Ecosia do a donation to the rainforest
Every time you Google.
every time.
So you
Every
could be
time
doing
search,
something
yeah.
incredibly dodgy and still giving to a charity.
And we were keen to get rid of the phrase Google it, Google. Like people use it as a search, don't they? But we say Ecosia it.
It's like people
sometimes.
say Hoover it. Well, I did many years ago. Anyway, as you were.
Another thing, are these prisoner numbers allocated to us, or can I just make mine up? Well, we've covered that a lot, but it says long-time reader, second-time writer. I sent in about last year's New Year's resolutions. We remember that Beth, age 14, and...
What's her number?
241.
Okay.
It's the last 3 digits of the mobile phone, and Gareth, that used to sit in my chair, just a texter had not put their name, and he just went, 241. And
it was inspired by indolence, really.
Yeah, we just like the laziness of it.
We like the laziness.
So has she called herself 241 knowing, or is she implying that she's a bargain? That's 241.
What I would say about the prisoner numbers is that they are allocated to you, but if you're Charles Bronson, we'll make an exception. You can pretty much do whatever you like. You can make it up. We don't care. It's your manor.
Good call.
It's been lovely this morning, boys. I've really enjoyed it. I've missed Frank, but I've loved having you two.
Pleasure.
Coming up... points towards a change in our relationship, which we'll discuss later. All I have to say is be seeing you.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.